Hi, it's Deb from Project Life Deb's Way. Welcome to the year 2023. This layout I'm doing for this YouTube is one of my first pages that I did with my albums to describe what the albums were about. And I decided to update them a bit because I did them many years ago when I first started scrapbooking, and my style has changed so much since then. I know a lot of people like their older pages, but I decided to have a bit of a tinker and a bit of fun with those first couple of pages. So the first page that I've actually done was the first one when you open up the album, and as you can tell, I've used the different page formats that you can get with your Project Life, and I've got the 6x6s and the 6x4s. So for this layout that I'm doing the YouTube on, I actually had to follow through. So I've got the 6x6s. Now, if you don't have these pockets, I do explain in the YouTube how you can use your 12x12 sheets and just put back these onto some white cardboard and slip them into your full 12x12 pocket if you don't have this particular size. And as you can tell, I've just put here who is me, and I'm still deciding who me is. And then I went and did the second sheet, which of course I've reverted back to my normal 3x4s and 6x4s in this, and I've also just put some of the goals and things like that, and then that will carry through once I start my family tree. I will be having a few more layout videos going on to YouTube for you this year, because I've been asked to do a few classes on the Project Life system that I use for my albums at my favourite scrapbooking shop here in South Australia. And the great news about that is that quite often there are kits that are left over from the classes that you can actually buy online. So if you are following and did want a kit, you can actually sometimes get those kits from the scrapbooking shop. So when those videos do come up on YouTube, I will actually put the details in the description box where you can actually get those kits from, and the scrapbooking shop here. And we're going to have a look in a minute at the layout, which I'll show you more fully, and I will also give you the cutting directions of the papers and things, so that if you are following, you know where you're cutting your papers from. I'll also have the description of where else you can actually take a snapshot of those, which of course is on my blog site, and also my Facebook page. And then we'll get on with making our cards. So let's go and have some fun. Here's a quick look at the layout finished, just so that you can actually see what your cards will look like when you've completed this layout. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like and leave some comments. It's always nice to hear from you. These are the papers that I used, and it's from Bearty and it's called Rustic Blossom. It's a steampunky theme, but I didn't use it as a steampunk. Now, as you can tell, it's got lovely turquoise, and these are the sides that I actually used with the papers. I used a little bit of this, most of this. These are my cutouts that I used a lot of the flowers from as well. And I used a few of these sheets here for my 3x4s, and I used, I think it was this one here, of the little cutout. And I did use, as you can tell from my cutouts here, some of the words on this word sheet as well. And I used for my photo mats just 1 and a bit sheets of the black, and that's all I've used with this. I used a few of the wooden chipboard cogs as well, but most of it came from the cutout sheet here. So we'll get on with making our cards. Now we'll start on card number 1, but just to explain what I have done is I will be using the plastic sleeve which has 2 6x6s and the landscape, because this is my front page of my book, which is the start of my album. So I've done a front page, so I need to follow through and use that. Now if you haven't got any of these folders, it is very easy. All you have to do is get yourself a piece of white cardstock, just a plain piece of white cardstock like this, that's 12 by 12, and then you just actually stick your cards onto that, and you can actually put that in a 12 by 12 plastic folder, and it will work out exactly the same as what I am doing here. And that is one way that you can actually do your folders quite easily. So my first card, I have cut a base card of, and I will just bring this down so you can actually see the measurements on camera, a base card 6 by 6, and this came from this card here up at the top. So you'll cut your first card, your 6 by 6, and I've edged most of my cards in just a sort of a bottley green colour, just around very lightly around the edges. And I have also on my computer, because this is about Who Is Me and doing the forerunner of all the rest of my album, I've just done a little saying of wife and mother of 3 beautiful children, over 60 decades of experience, but still deciding who's me, just to give me a title page. So how I have done this, I have cut an extra strip just from this blue turquoise, and it is 1.5 inches by 5 3/4. But what I've done, I've cut a 1.5 by 6 and just cut off 1/4 of an inch off the top, and that little strip has been edged with the green, and I'm going to just lay that with that tiny little border all the way evenly on my piece of paper. And now I'm going to start building my layers. Now I'm going to pop this once again up the top with just that little bit of a border there. Or if you didn't want to do this, you could actually put a photo mat there and just put a photograph on quite easily. Now from my cut apart sheet, I have cut a clock, one of these flowers here, and one of these flowers here, which I'm going to do my building. And I just took from my stock a couple of the little chipboard cogs and just dusted them in some gold ink, and I am going to pop my little clock halfway down the page, making sure that my 12 is sitting, and lay that flat underneath. And my flowers, I'm going to foam tape them so that they pop a little bit. And I'm just going to pop one of those flowers here. Now I found there wasn't enough green, so I have just got from my stock some little green leaves, and I've popped them underneath. And then I'm going to stick the other flower just along the bottom with foam tape again, and then I'm going to pop a little cog just on the top of that, just to build the theme. And then I've put my 2 chipboard ones in, and there we have our first card finished. Now this is card number 2, which once again is a 6 by 6 piece, which I've just used for a full photograph, and this came from the blue turquoise next to the strip that you cut for card 1. So you just cut yourself a 6 by 6 inch square, edge it with the green and pop your photograph on, and there is a very, very simple card. Now we're on to our 6 by 4 portraits. On this side of the layout we have 3 of these. So the first one is going to be cut from the turquoisey, and you do a 6 by 4, and it is where that little rose flower is, just down in the bottom. Now we are unfortunately going to cover that up with our grey strip, which comes from this paper here with the little blue sort of wagon wheel here, and you cut a 6 by 1.5 strip, and you take off 1/4 inch so that you have a 1.5 by 5 3/4, which will give you that nice strip that is around, I'll put that like that. Now we just have edged around the edge. Now if you've never done this before, you just get whatever colour ink you are, and just very gently in an upright motion just go around the edges very lightly, and it will just give you that little bit of pop to make it stand out from your page. And it also gets rid of all those little bit of white edges that you can sometimes have. So making sure that the print is the right way round, we just pop our little strip on like so. Now my photo mat is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, so that I can fit a true 3 by 4 photograph. Now I've already put my photograph onto my mat and I've taped it already. Now this here is going to go down the bottom of my card, centered, but only press the bottom part of the photograph because I need to get some things behind here. Now from my cutout sheet you will find the flower is here on the cutout sheet, and I've also taken this little clock from here and fussy cut that out. Now I'm just going to sort of arrange this at the top with my flower towards the top like that. And once I'm happy with where they are situated, I'm going to put a bit of tape on them to get them to stay into place. So we'll put our cogs down first because they're the under layer, and just pop them in like that. And I'm just going to bring them slightly over so everything isn't so square. Then pop my flower on next. Now I haven't edged any of my flowers with this because I want them quite white and crisp. Now these were the little cogs that I had, the chipboard, and all I do with those is I have a gold pad to give me some colour, and then I'm going to put a little bit of glue down because it's very difficult to tape these, and just pop my little cog on the top to give me some texture. And very quickly, once again, we have card number 3 complete. This once again is a what I class as an eye candy card that doesn't have any photographs on. It just complements your layout. Now I have used this cog here, which as you can tell I've actually cut all the center pieces out of them, and I've used the other one of these, and I've also used, I think it is this flower here as well. So it really is quite a simple card. I've just edged around the edges of a 6x4 base card, as you can see here, and I've taken it from this blue where the cog is, and I've taken it up from this corner here. But what I have done is, as you can see, there's the piece of paper. I've flipped it round so that the flowers are working on the right hand side. So how I'm going to do that, I want this cog here just centered over that yellow flower, and because I can't tape that, I'm going to just pop some of my glue. Just makes it easier attachment. And I'm going to pop that over the center there, like so, so you can actually see through it. This flower here I am going to attach flat and just pop that a little bit over the cog there, and I'm going to put this flower on the bottom but onto foam tape. And then I will flip my card over, and any excess I will just snip those pieces off so that my card will go into the folder. And all I've done now is from this sheet here, I have cut the words here, loving the everyday, and I've mounted them onto foam tape and edged with the green ink. And I'm just going to lay those down unevenly onto that card. And there we have that card finished. Our last card for this left hand side of our layout is once again a very simple layered card. I've just cut my base card 6x4, and that came from this sheet here, and as you can tell, that's the way that it lays. So all I've done is turned it up so that the flowers are at the bottom of the page, and I've edged it with my green ink. Now from my cutout sheet I got one of the clocks, the clock here, and I just cut all of this off, and I've got one of the cogs and this little flower here, which is this flower in this corner. I've already on my photo mat of 3x4 attached my photograph that I want, and that will be going on the top of the page here. So I'm going to attach that with my tape. Sorry, I normally try and make sure that I've actually got my tapes already attached to my cards. And don't forget that you don't need to use mounds and mounds of tapes, because it is actually inside a folder with a pocket, so that your photographs don't get the wear and tear on them. So just press the top down and leave it, just center it with a little bit of a border at the top. Now your clock, make sure that your 12 is facing upwards, And we're just going to slide the clock underneath, like so. And this flower here, I just wanted at the bottom, and I want that flat as well. And then one of the cogs, just pop that raised just above the card, and there we have a very simple card finished. I've just put all the cards together so you can actually see how the left hand side of the page looks before we start the next side of the layout. Now we're on to our right hand side of the layout, so we have gone back to our normal format of the 4 portrait cards with the 3x4s. So our number 6 card, I have just cut my base card 6x4, which has come from this sheet here, and if you have a look, it's the reverse. So I've just flipped it over and actually used the reverse side of that. Now this particular card come from the turquoise down in the bottom corner here, and it is 3 3/4 across the top and 4.5 inches down, so that you get your small border. And I've edged both of these cards with the green ink. So we're just going to attach them now, and you put the cogs and the flowers towards the bottom. Now I've got a true 3x4 black photo mat here with my photograph, which I have just trimmed off a little bit to just get that little border. I think if you cut off, just measure that for you, 2 3/4, so you take off 1/4 inch, you will get that border around. Now I'm going to attach that down to the top of my page with the small border at the top to match the small border at the bottom, and center it. My flower, because I've got the flower here, I'm going to raise this flower up to get a bit of depth. So I use a little bit of foam tape to do that with. And I've got here Just Being Me, which I'm going to tuck in just like that. If you didn't want to put anything like that there, what you could do there is just put a little cog or something like that and tuck it behind, or a little extra flower, and there we have that card done. But just double check you haven't got anything overhanging, otherwise it won't fit into your pocket very well. So that is card 6 complete. This is card number 7. All I have done here is I've cut my base card 6x4, and this particular card came from here on this grey sheet with the little blue wheel. And what I've done, I have just taken it from where we took that strip, and I've flipped it over to the crackle blue side, and I've edged that with my green. My second card is 5 3/4 down and 3 3/4. Now you need to take care here. So we have already taken our 6x6 here, so you will have a 6 inch here, so you can actually cut all the way across and take out a 4 inch piece and then take this 4-inch piece here, because you will be using this for our next card. So just pop that to one side. So what we are going to do with that is to flip it over so that we have this gungier side, and I've edged that with the green, and if you put that onto your 6x4, you will have that nice little 1/8 of an inch border all the way around your card. I've got a true 3x4 black photo mat. I've cut my photograph down a little bit there, and that is going to go down to the bottom of the page. The reason being, I'm putting something on the top and I don't want this bit hidden here, so we'll put this down the bottom with that little border but centered, and press that down. Now I've cut out from this sheet here the little owl that's here, because I liked it because the crackle matched the crackle, and I've backed that onto a piece of black cardstock, and that is going to go just above that photograph, like so. Now I've done here, take the time to enjoy the small things, because that is something I really do think's important with life. So we're just going to pop that to one side on that card. Now I've taken one of the small little cuts from the die cut sheet, which is this flower here with one of the small cogs, and I'm going to hide that steampunk owl like so, and because it hasn't got any leaves, I've gone to my little stock of leaves and I'm going to just pop a couple of little leaves in there. So I'm going to stick this with some glue because it is easier to position. And stick my little leaves from my stash. And I was going to put a cog there, but I don't think I will. I think I will just leave it like that. And once you've done your layering, your card is complete. This is my card number 8. I have actually, once again, because this is a title page, done my goals or dreams. In here, if you didn't want to do that, you could use it as a journaling spot or put a photograph in there and use a 3x4. So I've cut my base card, my 6x4, which, as you know, you cut out just before, and you need, when you cut it, it will be that angle. You need to turn it upside down so that the cog faces downwards. I have cut a strip from this green here, just here in some waste, so it's all green with no flowers, and that is 1.5 inches by 5 3/4, and I've edged that with my green ink, and this is going to go down the side of my page. Now I've done this on this side because we did the strip down on this side. It just evens up each side of your layout so that it's all cohesive when you put it all together. Now this is going to go at the bottom, leaving that little border around. Now this card I have cut from this paper here, just so that I've got some pattern with no flowers or anything, and I've edged that with my green again. Then I am going to put, which I've already attached to my black backing card, my goals and things in the middle, whereas you would actually put your photograph in this area. So we will attach that down. It would be a very good spot for journaling. So that sort of goes into the middle. Like so. Now this card here, I'm going to tuck my flower in behind, and then I'm going to layer some cogs in. We'll just raise that up a little bit. Quite happy with that. So once you're happy, you can actually attach those down with some tape. Now this was off of the cut apart sheet, and it's one of the big flowers. So we're going to slip that underneath. And then I'll attach the next one down. Then layer the next on top, making sure that my 12 is where it needs to be. And then I've got one of those little cogs again, so I'll just put some ink on that, and I'm going to pop that on the top. So there we have my goal and dream card to finish off card number 8. Now we're on to card number 9. This is such a simple card. I've done a full photo. So all I've done is I've cut my 6x4 base card, which is just coming out of the sheet here. And as you can tell, I've just flipped it over and used the grungy B side. I've cut my photo mat, which is 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. Then I've just cut my photograph down slightly, and I'm going to attach that to my card. Like that. And then I'm going to cut a tiny little bit of, because I've lost my date. And I will do my date. Trim that down slightly. I honestly sometimes wonder where these bits of paper disappear to. There we have a simple photo mat done. Now we're just on to our little 3x4 mats. Now I always do, as you know, 2 photographs. So I've just done my 3x4 base cards, and both of them have come from this page here down at the bottom. So you just need to cut 2, and as you can tell they're exactly the same, and I've reversed one of them and I've edged them with green, and I have cut my photo mat at 2 7/8 by 3 7/8 just to give me the little border, and then I've cut my photograph to actually have the same border as well. So all you need to do now is just pop those onto your photo mats, and there are 2 cards done out of your 3x4s. We've got 2 little 3x4, what I class as the eye candy because I haven't got photographs. So our first card and our second card were both cut from the cut apart sheet here. You can see these 2 squares here, and I also cut this one here where I cut this one actually out and cut the holes in between the cog. I took the words from the word sheet, which have got happy and also extraordinary. So they're quite easy cards to do. This one here, you just need to put your extraordinary with foam tape, and I've edged that with my green ink, and we're going to just put that up into the top, and we are just going to pop our cog in like that, and I'm not going to layer it because it's too hard with double-sided tape to get this to attach, so I'll just use some of my glue again. Just pop that down, and then I'm going to tuck one of those little leaves in, just so that they match up to the rest of where I've used some leaves. And there we have that card finished there. The next card is this one here, and I've used one of my cut apart flowers, which, as you can tell, I've just put a bit of backing tape on there, a leaf, and then I've just popped a little cog there to finish it off so that you've got some cogs to match. I also cut this little sheet here from the cut apart sheet here. I've mounted that onto foam tape onto a piece of black matting card, and what I did there is I just laid that flat, cut my card out, and then put my backing tape on. Now this is going to go here. Now as you can tell, this is 2 7/8 height. I've cut that down to so that you actually get that little bit of a border around. And my happy word I've just done with green, and I'm going to pop that right in the middle of that, and there is our 2 cards done. And there's all our left hand side completely finished with all our photographs and everything attached. So here's the completed layout. I hope you enjoyed this layout just as much as I did doing it, and until next time, keep crafting. Bye.